What if the loudest thing in the room is not the most important thing in the room, but your brain has picked the loudest and cannot tell the difference between loud and important? And what if that inability is quietly redirecting your money, your focus, and your future towards the wrong destination? Now, let me tell you a story of this beautiful woman. It's a story about the peacock and the farmer. This lady ran a mid-sized catering business in Port Harcourt. She had 15 staff, a solid client base, and a reputation that had taken 7 years to build. Business was good. It wasn't perfect, but it was good, genuinely good. Then one afternoon, she attended a business summit and a flashy speaker walked onto the stage, perfectly tailored suit, commanding voice, dramatic slides, a story of going from 0 to 500 million in 18 months through cryptocurrency, through the trading of NFTs, through forex, trading. Now, the presentation was loud, colorful, emotionally electric, dramatic, and impossible to ignore. This lady sat in that audience and felt something shifted inside of her. By the time she drove home, she didn't love her business again. She had already begun mentally restructuring her life. Within 3 weeks, she had diverted about 20 million of her business capital into crypto trading, into forex trading, into NFTs. Yeah. And this crypto scheme was promoted by someone she met at that same summit. She reduced her catering staff. She stopped pursuing two major corporate contracts that were almost sealed. Now, 6 months down the line, the crypto scheme collapsed. The corporate contracts had gone to her competitors. Three of her best staff had found other jobs, and some had even established their own. Meanwhile, what she had completely missed at that same event was a quiet, unassuming woman who spoke for 12 minutes in the breakout session about how she had scaled a food business to institutional clients like hotel, banks, hospitals, governments, and their canteens using a simple supply chain restructuring model. She wasn't dramatic, she wasn't flashy, there was no slides even, just solid applicable income generating strategy and knowledge built over, the years. So this lady that had invested in crypto never heard a word of what this woman said because her mind was occupied with the flashy thing she was hearing. Now, because a peacock had walked into the room, a peacock had spoken, and her brain had decided that the most visible thing was the most valuable thing. This is what we call salience bias. Salience bias. It cost her 20 million naira and 2 years loss of momentum. My name is Kali Cousins. Africa's premium high performance thinking and strategic execution consultant. If you understand silent bias, it will help you a lot. This is number 18 of our 225 plus bias series. We've been doing the deep work of understanding how the brain hijacks your decision-making processes. Today's bias is one of the most visually driven, emotionally seductive, and financially dangerous of all of them all. And we all fall for them because it doesn't just affect what you think, it affects what you even notice in an environment. Salience bias. Very powerful bias. So let's just try to give it some definition. Salience bias is the brain's tendency to disproportionately focus on information, on options, on opinions, on stimuli that are more noticeable, that are more dramatic, that are more vivid or emotionally striking, while systematically underweighing information that is quieter, less visible, or less emotionally charged, even when the quieter information is far more relevant, accurate, and valuable. Your brain is wired to notice what stands out, not what matters most. Yeah, that's why you buy some things, you go home and you regret, you don't even know why you bought it. It is drawn to the bright, to the loud, to the dramatic, to the urgent, the emotional, the visible. While you are encouraged to be dramatic in your sales and all that, you're also encouraged in buying to be more reasonable, in agreeing to something to be more circumspect, in choosing to be more, careful. So, in a world deliberately engineered to be louder, to be brighter, to draw your attention, to be more dramatic than ever before, salience bias has never been more expensive. What catches your eye is not always what should catch your life. Yeah? So let's look at how this affects our businesses and its effects in our relationship. So in our businesses, a business owner receives his monthly report. Revenue is up by 12%. But there is one line item, a single client complaint written in a bold red font at the top of the email by his overzealous assistant. He spends the next 3 hours obsessing over that one complaint. He calls an emergency team meeting. He restructures his customer service protocol. He loses focus on the pipeline meeting he had scheduled, where 3 major deals were awaiting for his attention. Now, one salient red flag consumed him. The same with people's relationships. But the 12% growth and 3 significant opportunities that sat quietly in the background was unattended to. This is also why businesses pour disproportionate marketing budgets into viral campaigns and flashy brand activations. They chase visibility, sometimes it doesn't work that way, while neglecting the quieter, less glamorous work of customer retention, of succession planning, product quality, and operational excellence. The silent work feels important. The actually important work feels boring. So, the business that lasts are almost never the loudest ones in the room. They are the most consistent ones. Have you ever checked some of the brands you saw yesterday, poured so much money into some certain things that are not so necessary? Today they are no more. Yeah, I can't just continue telling you my story as the president of a business school. In relationship, a man is evaluating 2 potential life partners. The first woman is extraordinarily striking in appearance, magnetic energy, dramatic, romantic gestures, and exciting unpredictability that makes every moment feel like a movie scene. She's salient in every room she enters. Yeah, I can remember my wife recommending my wife to somebody because I wasn't, ready. To one of my seniors, I said, this woman, she's my friend, but she's amazing. She's so focused and intelligent. The person looked at her then and said, I don't find her flashy. But you see, she's tall, she's elegant, but because she's on the quiet Christian good girl, lane, she wasn't flashy. Her capacity wasn't salient. It wasn't pushing out. But I saw something deeper. But when I started dating my wife, and now, yeah, having spent some money on her, don't mind me. Now, when I showed a picture to the same person said, Kali, you are mental. You never showed me this woman. Up to today, The person never agreed that I showed him my wife. Yeah. So the point is, there's a second woman in my story that I was telling you earlier. This second woman now is what? Is quietly brilliant. Yeah. Deeply kind, emotionally stable, financially responsible, genuinely supportive of his goals. She doesn't command a room. She builds a home. She's not loud. She's not a peacock. His brain keeps pulling him towards the first. Not because she's better for his life, but because she's more visible to his nervous system and he can present, her as a trophy to friends. He chooses the silent option. 2 years later, he's exhausted, financially drained, and emotionally destabilized, wondering why the relationship that felt so electric has no solid ground beneath it. Meanwhile, the second woman, consistent, genuine, and overlooked, has built a life of quiet excellence with someone wise enough to see power, the amazing nature of this woman. Yeah? Now, at this point, her capacity has surfaced because she's now in the right habitat. So silent bias didn't just affect his love life, it robbed him of his future, his destiny, simply because he doesn't know the difference between reality and glittering. Everything that glitters is not gold. Now, how do we fix it? 3 moves as always, starting immediately. Number one, build a deliberate evaluation filter before making any significant business or personal decision. Create a simple checklist of what actually matters for that decision. In relationship, I call it negotiable and non-negotiables. You must check when you're looking at beauty or looking at anything. Ask yourself, what are the negotiables and what are the non-negotiables? If you are short, your non-negotiable could be you want to marry a woman that is at least tall because maybe you are short. Yeah. Then what of character? What of, temperament? What of her behaviors? What of financial management? What of her focus? What of the kind of friends she wants to have? The same for a woman against a man. He's wealthy. What other things should you look out for? Salience bias can kill. Yeah? So write down before you encounter the options. Then evaluate each option against your checklist, because immediately you encounter it, you may not have the capacity to now have the calmness. So don't just look at the dramatic issues and the ones that presented themselves. Look at the checklist. Ask yourself, does this align with my existing business strength? Is the risk profile manageable? Is the returns model proven and sustainable? The crypto scheme would have failed every single question if this person had asked those questions. So number two, apart from making a checklist, number two is deliberately seek the quiet options. Train yourself to ask in every room, every meeting, every conversation, what is being said softly here that I am missing because something louder has my attention. The most valuable investment tips, most valuable business strategies, most valuable relationship insights, most valuable life lessons are really delivered without fireworks. They are not delivered with so much fireworks and brigandage. Sometimes they quietly pass. They come quietly in a 12-minute breakout session, in a footnote, in a whisper from someone who has actually done the work. Something that is not dramatic, something that, is not shouting. We miss it always because we are always attracted to those shiny things. So number three, audit where your time and your money actually go. Pull out your calendar and your bank statements right now. Look at where your focus and your finances have been directed in the last 90 days. Ask questions honestly to yourself. Did I allocate my resources based on what was most important or based on what was almost useless but most visible and exciting. The gap between those two answers is the gap between where you are and where you want to be. So, here's what I need you to understand deeply, practically, and permanently. In a world engineered for attention through distraction, now the right attention is your most valuable asset. And Salience Bias is giving it away for free to whoever shows up loudest, scrolling through your Instagram, all kinds. The flashiest investment is not the safest one. The most dramatic relationship is not always the most fulfilling one. The loudest voice in the room is not the wisest one. The most viral strategy is not the most sustainable one. That lady rebuilt her business. It took her 2 years of quiet, unglamorous hard work, consistent hard work, the kind of work that never trends, never goes viral, never fills the conference room with applause. But it paid her bills, fed her staff, restored her reputation. So you know that the peacock gets all the attention, but the farmer feeds the nation, and most time nobody notices him. You can be you can be both a peacock and a farmer in your business and in your life. Learn to see past the feathers of the peacock. The most important thing in the room is really the loudest thing in the room. Train your eyes, train your ears, train yourself, train your attention to find that thing that is the most important. Train your mind to choose it. Train your life to be built on it. So this is bias number 18. The quiet opportunities are still waiting. Go find them. I want you to share this with every entrepreneur and leader who has been distracted by the wrong shiny thing. Let them see, let them know. See you tomorrow for the next one. That is number 19. Click the link at the comment section and be part of my rapid public speaking for impact and income masterclass. See you tomorrow.